Let's kick things off with a big question. Will AI ever truly grasp meaning the way humans do? Mathematician Giancarlo Rota called it the barrier of meaning, and honestly, it's such a vivid way to sum up this stubborn gap between humans and machines.
It's a fascinating image, this invisible wall. What stands out to me is how even the smartest AIs out there still make bizarre mistakes or miss the nuance in language. We might teach them tons of data, but they just don't get the world like we do.
Exactly, and those strange errors really highlight the limits. An AI might ace a chess game but ask it to interpret a joke or a metaphor, and it often falls flat. Makes you wonder what's at the heart of true understanding.
That gets at something essential. It's more than just processing information. It's about meaning, context, and a kind of lived-in experience. So, what is it that humans do differently from machines? That leads us straight into the building blocks of human understanding.
Funny enough, this all starts way earlier than most people think. Even babies seem to arrive with some basic core knowledge, intuitive stuff about how objects work and what counts as an object.
It always amazes me how little kids know that if you push a ball, it rolls, or that a toy hidden behind a box still exists. They take these things for granted, but it forms this bedrock of common sense that machines just don't develop out of the box.
Right, and we barely notice ourselves relying on it as adults. Like, if you leave your keys on the table and look away, you expect them to stay put. No one has to spell that out for you.
That's true for humans, it's almost subconscious. But if you ask a neural network to understand those hidden rules, it struggles unless you feed it endless examples. Our minds just pick this stuff up.
What's wild is that as we grow, we're not just learning about objects. Psychologists talk about intuitive physics, but also intuitive biology and intuitive psychology.
Totally. And you see it with kids and pets. A toddler knows the family dog can act on its own, while the stroller in the hallway definitely can't. They know the dog hears and smells, and they can predict its quirks.
And then there's our knack for reading other people's minds, or at least their intentions. You can watch a mom crossing the street with her baby and dog and instantly know she's focused on keeping everyone safe, even if she's a little distracted by her phone.
That social sense is so powerful. Even if you've never met her, you can pick up on her goals and feelings. Machines just don't have that social radar yet, no matter how many photos or videos they analyze.
That social radar helps us do something AI struggles with: generalize from a handful of experiences. You can spot a weird situation, say, a dog tugging on a leash while traffic builds up, and know right away how things could play out.
And it's not just recognizing patterns. We're drawing on all that core knowledge to weigh risks, guess at other people's actions, and decide how we should respond. It's so quick. Most of us don't realize we're doing it.
Exactly. Meanwhile, an AI might need a million examples before it catches on. This ability to infer, adapt, and make sense of the unfamiliar is such a human superpower. What I find really cool is how our brains are always predicting the future, sometimes without us even noticing. You see a woman crossing the street, and you're already mentally rehearsing what might happen next.
Completely. If the dog pulls, maybe she'll need to tug him along. If her phone rings louder, maybe she'll stop. We're running these little simulations, preparing ourselves to react if things go sideways.
That's the power of what psychologists call mental models. It's like our own internal movie studio, previewing all the ways things could unfold. Neuroscience still doesn't really know how we pull this off.
But we all do it, and it lets us improvise in real time. Honk your horn and you know she'll probably jump or look your way. That kind of flexible prediction is still out of reach for today's AIs.
That actually reminds me, psychologist Lawrence Barsalou has a neat idea. Maybe understanding is simulation. We're constantly imagining, rehearsing, or running situations in our minds.
I love that theory. Even reading a story, we'll picture ourselves as the main character, feeling the stroller's weight, hearing the dog's bark, sensing the danger. It's not just words, we almost live it in our heads.
And it apparently works for stuff we haven't directly experienced too. Reading about a car crash, you can empathize just by pulling up your own memories or imagining similar moments.
That goes deep even for abstract stuff. Barsalou argues we use these mental simulations to understand big ideas, not just concrete things. And that sort of brings us to the magic of metaphor.
Speaking of metaphors, remember learning in school that metaphors were just flowery language? Turns out they're actually the backbone of how we understand the abstract.
It blew my mind when I read Lakoff and Johnson's Metaphors we live by. Time is money, spend time, waste time, borrowed time. Or even emotions as directions, feeling. Down, spirits lifted. It's everywhere.
And it's not just poetic. We use warmth for both physical temperature and friendliness. She gave me a warm welcome, an icy stare. It's almost invisible because it's so built in.
What's wild is that our brains literally link these concepts. Studies show that holding a warm cup can make you judge someone's personality as warmer. It's like our metaphors shape reality itself.
Those experiments really make you wonder, are we wired to mix up sensory experiences and social ideas? Like, if a hot coffee makes you trust someone more, where do our thoughts and feelings even begin and end?
It's definitely blurry. Some psychologists argue these findings prove our abstract thinking is built from physical experience. Even controversial studies hint that the boundary between physical and metaphorical might be thinner than we think.
And if that's true, it gives us a clue why AI has such trouble with meaning it doesn't have bodies or sensations or those lived metaphors to draw on. All of this leads to the big, messy topic consciousness. Some thinkers say our sense of self is like a hall of mirrors. We're simulating situations, and then simulating ourselves simulating those situations.
That's such a trippy idea. I mean, Douglas Hofstadter calls it a strange loop, where our minds are both creating symbols and being shaped by them. It's like our brains are running simulations of simulations. And somewhere in there, selfhood pops out.
Exactly. And maybe that feedback loop where sensation, metaphor, and self-modeling all feed into each other is the secret sauce for understanding and consciousness. AI hasn't really cracked that yet.
And who knows if it ever will. For now, it's what keeps human meaning so mysterious and rich.
Switching gears a bit, let's talk about abstraction. Humans are natural pros at spotting patterns and grouping things, like realizing a wagging tail means happiness, whether it's a real dog, a cartoon, or a doodle.
And we see it develop early. A baby can tell a happy face from a sad one, even across different people. By the time they're toddlers, they've abstracted wave bye-bye and respond in kind, no matter who's waving.
It gets more sophisticated too. As kids grow, they take wildly different examples and lump them under a single label. All those weird-shaped veggies become vegetables. Maybe even yucky ones.
And abstraction doesn't stop at objects. Teenagers invent new words, like adding holic for coffeeholic or gate for scandal. We're constantly stretching language to fit new patterns and situations.
That actually brings us to analogy, which is really abstraction's partner in crime. We don't just see patterns, we map them across experiences. Like a kid saying, "The same thing happened to me, even if the details are different."
Absolutely. Analogy is how we make sense of new stuff. Someone once said it's the perception of a common essence between two things. That's what lets us compare a blogging platform to graffiti on a public wall in a courtroom argument.
And it's everywhere from idioms like two sides of the same coin to clever legal defenses. Analogy is how we turn new situations into something we already understand.
AIs, though, still fumble with analogies. They can match surface similarities, but the deep, flexible mapping between ideas, that's still a work in progress.
So, pulling it all together, it seems like the missing links for AI are exactly these: common sense knowledge, sophisticated abstraction, and analogy making. Without those, machines can't really understand the world the way we do.
And that's kind of the urgent challenge right now. As AI systems show up in more real-world jobs, they'll need to handle messy, unpredictable situations just like humans do. But no one has figured out how to give them that robust, flexible understanding yet.
Which means the big philosophical questions about meaning and understanding aren't just for academic debates anymore. They're at the heart of how we shape the future of technology.
Exactly. The next breakthroughs in AI might depend on finally giving machines some piece of our uniquely human knack for meaning. And honestly, we're only at the beginning of that journey.